Doing some rock haul with 4 trucks, 3 tandems, 1 belly dump, one of our truck tractors in Omaha. Earlier this week, we had a crew cutting trees down in the southwest corner on C Avenue, north of J64. Our spray patcher didn't run for those wet days. It's too wet to dig. We were doing some planning on lining pipes on J64, and my comment about not digging, that means we're not digging up the road, we're lining the pipe so we don't have to disturb the embankment and the pavement. And then today, which is not listed, we started mowing pavements. The grass and weeds are growing. Like I said, number 26 in Omaha for a transmission issue. Number 2 motor grader was in Atlantic with engine work, engine warranty work, and we brought that back today. That's what they told me this morning. And number 8's in the shop for a regular service. That's the one that had a transmission issue most of the spring, it seemed like. Work continues on 190th Street Bridge. Concrete work last week, both approaches, east and west, were placed with the deck machine. This week they poured the rail posts. We got done with the second side this afternoon. They'll be stripping that and forming the open rail. Next week should have both, excuse me, both sides concrete placed in the open rail next week. Still working on the drainage issue. I see Mr. Audie's here. Yes, I'm sure there's water there because our pipe's not low enough to drain, but we asked the sub for a price to do this rework. The T was supposed to be in for Meadow Culverts the end of this week, although I heard the end of this weekend or this week or next week, that's what I heard today. And next week we'll have a final paperwork for our farm to market rock haul on next week's agenda. You have a second handout there, an informational page with budget and fiscal year 24 expenditure budget. This is the DOT's. I've sent the county form to the auditor this afternoon, and we'll discuss this more when the amended budget hearing is or meeting is. Basically, the orange highlighted categories I reduced, and the green categories I increased. For example, the roads increased from $1.8 million to $2.1 million, so $300,000 worth of increase there. And same with equipment operations, increased that line item $200,000. And this will reduce the carryover balance by $215,000. Now, to caveat that or to mitigate that, when we estimated FY24 back in January of 2023, we had a carryover balance of $2.4 million was our estimated carryover balance. The actual carryover balance was $2,791,000. So that increase of 300-some thousand is larger than the money requested on this amendment. And I'll give more details on that when the budget hearing is. But that's the basics of it there. We're doing some parking lot planning, surveying on the annex building, looking at ADA stuff. We will have to engage some architect to do the official planning or something. And on the Essex North Bridge, scheduled for letting in August, would the consultant turn plans in to the contracts office this week? Questions for me on the update?
So on this, you said on the green ones, you upped the amount,
Correct.
but then you also, for snow and ice, is 54,000, almost doubled that for the 110,000. Do you see that?
Okay, the 110,000 is what we budgeted 180,000. We pulled it back to 110,000. Then the 54,000 in that column to the
Yeah,
left,
okay.
that was last year's, that was fiscal. So we did about twice as much snow work this year as last year.
Okay.
The columns to the left are previous years.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Well, on the next issue, JD saw something. So you put that T in here the next week or two, or get something going. Then you're working on the prices, what it takes to get a way to get the rest of the water out of there.
No. When we do the T, we're gonna redig the pipe,
Just take that pipe down,
take it down to 2 foot.
the pipe,
Instead of connecting,
all that other stuff.
instead of connecting the tile together, we're gonna lower the pipe down
Where it was.
where it should be.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So when they get that piece made, then you're gonna go to, who's gonna
Right.
dig it in? You're gonna take the bids? Or you
Well,
gonna do it?
we're getting the bid from the subcontractor,
Okay,
and that should be here this week.
okay, that
It'll
makes
be
a little
in-
more sense.
It'll be an extra work on the project.
Okay,
So,
so that's what I was wondering about that.
yeah, we haven't, it's not going away, we haven't forgotten it.
All right, thank you. All right, next up there, number 6 is the hose hookup, Shenandoah Building, getting them a hydrant outside or something.
I sent that to you.
Yep,
Did you see that? And Troy said he could do it,
okay.
or we could hire a plumber, and I told him that we'd put it on the agenda and see what you guys wanted to do.
If he wants to do it, he, I just could put one through the wall, just to one of the frost-free one to get him something out there.
Yeah.
Do we need to just make a motion to have him do it, or?
I think we can, I don't know that we need to even
And
do
there's
that.
funds in their building funds
Yeah.
to use if it needs
Yeah,
anything to
just-
do.
I do appreciate, he went over, they called me last Friday, and the Zion room was leaking again on the roof. And so I called Melissa and had Troy go over, and he went over and he did, I think, patched it, and so then that big rain that we had, this last time it didn't leak, so.
Oh, good
Okay,
job.
That's good.
Good
Did you
job.
get the pictures that she sent today?
Yep, Denise
Looks really
showed,
nice.
yeah, it does look really nice.
Arborvitae trees
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yep.
look good.
Yep, that looks really good, so,
Okay, so I'll just talk to Troy and tell him to go ahead with it.
yep.
I think it's something he can't, or wants to,
Okay,
can't figure out and get a plumber in there. Okay,
unless, if he needs something, he can call a plumber.
yeah. Get them a hydrant outside.
Okay.
All right, so,
He also, he and I had talked about outside by the handicap ramp, there was a kind of a dead bush out there. He's also replaced a couple bushes out there that look really nice, little
Good.
plants. So,
everything looks real nice out there. Let's see. Okay. There are other issues over there they're wanting to work on, those other things, they were tackling the different ideas they had at the,
yeah, they're gonna do,
Are they-
they said the flags were next,
okay.
so they're working on that. But it's all volunteer stuff that
Right.
they're doing.
Do we talk about,
If they
because I
want
know when we were over
paint or
there,
something,
you talked about gravel.
or gravel.
were they gonna let you know, or were you gonna
I don't know.
just have somebody go over there and drop some gravel, or?
I think they'll probably contact us, whatever needs to be done.
Okay, all right.
Maybe need to,
I can ask Denise, but
yeah. Or go to their next meeting. Okay, we'll keep working on that building. The next up, we have solar ordinance, working on that.
I personally would like to just adopt the Mills County ordinance because it was prepared by an attorney. We're not attorneys, and I think they went over everything probably with a fine-tooth comb. And I don't really see a lot of things, anything that needs to be changed.
Well, the noise thing is different than our noise on wind. I think it should be the same, whatever.
Where's that at? I went through and my printer did not work very good, but, so I had highlighted all the things on it that, just little touch-ups here and there, nothing extraordinary, but, I was doing some research on decibels, and like a 40 decibel is when you're talking, like a conversation, and I think it in here said something about 50 decibel, and I just had changed it to 40 to 50 as a range. I did make the height 15 feet,
Which is on page 1,
which is,
and it shall not be greater than 15 feet at maximum tilt.
yeah, where is that? Is that on?
It's on the
this?
bottom of page 1.
Those are for personal solar.
Oh, yeah, it's the same as personal, yeah. Yeah, so the first part of this is personal, and then it gets into the SESUS, which is the
Commercial.
commercial one. And with that, I left some of the setbacks, but then I put the other setback at 2,600 feet from property line of a residence, occupied resident, with it being able to be waived. And then left all their other setbacks inside the project. And then I changed the feeder lines, because most of it I left all the same. But there was some questions about, like, some of it talks about the zoning board and a zoning administrator, and some of that stuff I changed to our county engineer.
He is the zoning administrator.
Okay, all right, so, okay.
That's also his title.
Yep, no, okay, so I was just confused on some of that language. The depth of the lines, I put at 6 feet
Where are we?
inside the, let's see, I gotta find it here.
So let's go back to the setbacks on page 3.
Yes.
You
the-
took from
I think they had
300
like
feet from
30,
arrest, 300 feet to 2,600 feet?
Should be a,
from a non-participating, yeah, with a waiver, if they wanted to waive it.
if you go down to if is built more than one parcel and parcel abutting a 0-foot setback in there, it just, like we did for wind, whether it has a house on it or not, you might want to build a house someday. So whatever the setback, I think whatever the setback is, should be from the property line. So you don't have them a few feet from, if you ever want to build a house next to one of these things someday, you're gonna be.
Right, yeah,
Just
it's
make it
from the property line.
That's what we did.
I
with
think I
wind.
did,
We just
I
made
wrote,
a property line
from
setback.
property line of residence that is not part
you're-
of the commercial project area, with the ability for a waiver. Parties can waive that setback. And then I left all the setbacks inside parcel to parcel,
Yeah,
whatever they had, if it's
if they both sign up,
yeah, if they're both, right.
do whatever they want.
Now,
So on the special requirements on page 3, you took that from 24 inches off the ground to 15 inches?
no, I left
No,
it
you
24
left it
inches.
24?
Yeah, and yeah, so I left it 24 inches off the ground and 15 feet height.
Oh, okay.
Yep. At maximum tilt. And the only other question I had, I guess, well, we can keep going through it, but, I was wondering, it didn't really specify fees for the applications. And that I could find anyway. I'm not sure if there's a section that talks about it. But I couldn't find it.
I can contact them and ask.
And just to see what we'd want to have for a fee, I'm not sure.
There's a number 12 there, and after noise, it talks about glare going towards other people's
Yep.
houses and stuff, buildings with adjacent properties. It says they'll be designed to minimize that. If you read like Madison County, it says they won't be allowed to put glare on somebody else.
Yeah, I just put designed to and located so as not to produce glare towards any inhabited buildings or adjacent properties. So I changed the wording there.
Yeah, not to produce.
And then the other thing, reasonable efforts shall be made to place all project collection lines within the solar installation that is buried underground. And then I put at a depth of 6 feet, any lines outside the project space would have to be 10 feet, is what I put. Depending on the appropriate soil condition, shape, topography, and site distance, all that good stuff.
So can you send all these things that you've got?
Yes,
You've
I meant to do that. I was gonna email them to you, so that you guys could see it beforehand, but I didn't get it done, sorry. Pretty much all of the other stuff I left, cause it all was pretty good, I
If you go to
thought.
decommissioning number 2 and decommissioning that, what I've read on this, the decommissioning cost shall take salvage value into account. Sometimes they'll place wild salvage values on things. I don't know that it needs to take that into account, because it's,
Okay,
that they wildly value that, so it takes the place of having to put any money aside for fixing things if they leave them. Oh, let's see here. That's the only thing I'd highlighted there. If you go to financial surety on the next page,
yeah, I saw,
there it says, or decommissioning funds or financial surety shall be an amount. Surety, I don't like, just like real money. This, a letter that says they promise they can. That's kind of how we did the wind thing.
yeah, I thought there was some place in here it's talked about them having
Have to have some real money.
yeah, they had to have at least 10%, let's see. Shall be an amount equal to our net cost for decommissioning the site plus a 10% contingency.
You can just
So I
take
guess I
that
took it
financial
as
surety out.
they would have 10% down somewhere in a made available.
Yeah, whatever, we need to look back at the wind, but whatever we did for that, we should do the same thing. Apply the same rules. to
Yeah,
the
I'm
money
good, I'm
side.
good with at least having some money up front.
Okay.
I think it did talk about them proving that they had insurance and,
And how much, we'd look back at
Yeah.
that and when, there was so many, I forget the dollar amount we did with wind, the liability insurance. Okay. Well, what you highlighted is the same thing I highlighted there, so. There, a notice, I was trying to find their notice that things are going on before it happens in their ordinance, I didn't see that.
yeah, there wasn't really anything, big like what was in Madison County, but I think we could ask them, I think that's just a common, make that a common practice. If we're gonna be putting in projects, we should have meetings, public meetings, on the effect, and they should know what the affected area is.
Well, they put it in part of their permit requirements, you have to, before you apply for a permit, there has to be a public, somehow posting that you're trying to do this. So all the neighbors and everybody know what's going on. So I'd like to add some simple,
Well, the other thing is, then they apply for a permit, but then there's a building permit. Or I guess there's an application.
Yeah.
And then before they would get the building permit, we would probably at some point have a public hearing on so that anybody could voice opinions of the project, I would say. We'd have to get some wording as to how those meetings would happen and how far out before the project started being developed.
Read what they have here.
If you're gonna have a public meeting, are you going to limit it to those people who are around the project? Or you're
Yeah.
gonna let anybody come and complain?
Well, I think it should be, first, they probably should have a meeting with the people that are gonna be affected. So the neighbors, before, and that could be a public meeting here, or it could be, somebody's farm or wherever, but to me, I guess, the project owner and maybe the landowners that are putting in the project, just so that the neighbors are talking, doesn't have to be anything formal, just so they know.
But if you're
I
putting
don't
the
think we need
project
to have
down here
it.
and you have somebody from the south come and complain,
Right, no, I
No,
don't,
that's a public forum here, people can talk.
I
Pro
understand
or
that, but-
Con, so.
yeah.
there's a comment on here about,
The main thing would be so people that were affected could come and if they
right, the
had,
people that are affected by it, not the ones
Right.
who are way away from it.
but everybody's gonna have an opinion.
The way they put it in this other ordinance is notice of filing. So no later than 10 days after filing the application, they have to have a public notice that they're doing this, just so it's been publicly
Right.
advertised locally that they're
Yeah.
doing this. A very simple they have a little template here to file, that they're building this big a project in this area. Let it be known.
There's a comment on here, 2,600 feet is a half a mile, that's wrong. Why would you put half a mile setback?
So you don't want, that's one person's opinion there. Just like we said, everybody has opinions, up or down. So, let's see.
I just went by what was from the conservation and
That's the same thing they had for them.
well, yeah, so, on the Madison County anyway, that's what they had, but those could be waived
Yeah.
anytime, it's,
Yeah, okay. That'll make sure everybody's contacted at least within 1/2 mile of it, they would have to talk to them. So. Okay,
and then I think somewhere it said something about the chemicals and stuff being used, and there would be, there is some mention of safety and meetings with fire departments and things like that, which I thought were good. And I think under this, section number 4, under C, there was all kinds of things about permits and things, so. I think there was some good things about wastewater collection and runoff and things, in there, under soil erosion and things that would have to be, as part of it, that I thought was good and well explained in here. And it talks about the fencing and everything, so, like I said, all in all, there was only a few things that I put in that I thought, we could put in, or we could talk about, or hash out. I thought the rest of it looked really good, so,
If you'd send that
Yep.
out, it might be easier to see what's
yes, I'll
going on.
send it to both of you, and
Okay.
it's a lot easier to see my scribbles.
okay. Well. What do you wanna do on that? Read over that. And go over it next week. Yeah, let's try.
I think we need to look at that and see
Okay, we can do that.
if we can get it more, a clearer picture.
Okay, and we'll look at that next week and get a little clearer picture on it. Okay. Where's the agenda?
Excuse me, I have a quick question on discussion.
Yeah,
Sure.
about that Supervisor Clark, you mentioned a comment that was made on the Zoom. Could you please list the name of who submitted that comment?
It says iPad.
That
There are
helps
no
a lot.
names.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Well, number 8 here is board communication. So, anything's coming on schedule?
Yeah, the one thing, I don't know, you guys saw John Scharf. What? Is it Scharf?
Schwab,
Schwab.
Right back in conservation.
Yeah, John
Yes.
John Schwab. He sent out a thing,
Yeah.
and I told him I'd go, so if that's all right. Everybody, so I'm not sure what it's on, but that's on Tuesday, I believe, at 6:30 at his office.
Okay.
And then, we had I think it's their
Conservation
conservation
board
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah, I think it's their conservation board meeting. And we did have an EMS essential service meeting Monday. And, so that was really good. And, talked about trying to get a little bit more people to show up to the meetings. So we're just barely making a quorum, so. But they have some good things, a flyer that they're putting together and that they'll be able to hand out to people, and it'll have some good information on it, so.
Okay.
I went to an interagency meeting on Tuesday, and again, very good information. And it was interesting that morning on Channel 7, across the bottom of the screen was going that a note that NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, was helping the people from the tornado.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris Adcock is the representative in this area. And she said their main office is in Neola, so it's right there,
Yeah,
close to Minden.
nice.
And they're trying to provide food and other necessities for those people. So and that was a very interesting thing, as well as Zion, the gals that were there they're always presenting good information. So there was a lot presented the other day.
Okay. Well, we had a landfill meeting last Thursday after a meeting in the morning, and they're breaking ground out there in the new cells, the landfill. So what's going on out
They're
there?
breaking ground for the new cell.
Yeah, and they're working on that, and it's going well, so. Okay, do we have any claims? The landfills, breaking ground on the new cell. Yeah, last Thursday.
Breaking ground for the new cell.
Yeah, big new cell. No claims, okay. And that, okay. Got one over the minutes here. There you go, done. There's 2 up there. All right.
There's another question on here, Supervisor Mayor. Your experience on the fire department, do you know if our volunteer fire departments have the proper training and equipment to put out electrical fires on these solar farms?
We do, we have been that's one of the things I think that, when William was here, I had talked to him about, they do have a pretty good training program through Mid-American. So, I assume that if something like that was a project in Page County, that they would get with the fire departments, especially since the one I think they're talking about is gonna be closer to Clarinda. I'm
Right.
assuming that Clarinda would get some additional training and things. And that's been the case kind of with anything coming into the county. We've tried to make sure that, you know, the safety, that they're working with the surrounding departments, making sure that we're trained and capable and we have what we need. A lot of them will make promises of getting us equipment and any additional stuff that we've asked for, so. But yeah, I mean, obviously electrical fires are not new. We've had electrical fires. So there is some newness to solar, wind, pipelines. There's all kinds of things that we have to be ready for, so. Thanks for the question.
Okay. Motion on the minute.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll make a motion that we pass the amended minutes per Iowa Iowa Board,
Public information.
Public Information Board guidelines.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Yes.
No,
Yes. Okay.
I move we adjourn.
All right, we got a motion to adjourn on the table. We got a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.